Happy Friday! Thank you, those of you tuning in on the replay. I always appreciate you being here. You can still show support with hearts. If you have any questions about this broadcast, you can send me a message on Twitter or Facebook or Instagram. All those platforms, I am also at CreativLEI. Good afternoon. Hello, everybody. I won't keep you long. I know children are coming home from school shortly. My older children are upstairs doing some of their science for homeschool. So I wanted to hop on. Thank you, Lady Desk. I'm not certain of your first name. So I was brainstorming because, next week is October, and I don't know if anyone else is a blogger that participates in the 31 Days Challenge, which means blogging every day of October. The past few years I have participated. I have not always been successful. Now I get it. Dusk and dawn. Now I'll remember. So, the past few years I've participated. A couple years ago I did Capture Your Grief for 31 Days, which was a series of photographs that identified walking through grief as a baby loss parent. Sorry, I'm putting the Kindle on for my little one. Okay, so, sorry, I've got some harsh lighting going on here, don't I? So last year I did 31 Days of Randomness, where I attempted to catch up on some of the series and posts from previous years on my blog. I used the time to catch up a little bit and kind of fill in some of the blanks around my blogging real estate. So for those of you that are tuning in to me for the first time, my name is Lisa. I blog at CreativLEI.com. I can be found on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook as CreativLEI. If you are a fiber artist, I am on Ravelry as Lee Marie. Yeah, randomness. Lindsay, that's exactly, last year I knew I needed to kind of fill in some holes. I needed to address my newer readers who had not met my family, so I did one day of introducing us all. I filled in on homeschooling ideas for last year. I blogged about why sometimes I don't blog, about not adding to internet noise, when sometimes it's better to be quiet as a blogger. But that's kind of the luxury of being kind of a life/lifestyle blogger, is that I don't have to blog if there's not a message to put out there, because I don't want to waste your time or mine. So I wrote about that. I just kind of touched on whatever needed to be caught up on. I even went back and revisited a series from, I think it was like 5 years prior. It was when we take the kids to Friendlies, and it ended up turning into a series about an unintended home renovation project. So I realized I had done like 3 parts and hadn't ever concluded it. So why not conclude it 5 years later? So there's a little bit of backstory of my randomness. But this year, for the 31 days, I have a specific goal, and my intention is to bring you through 31 days to love your lettering. There are lots of people that are getting into Bible journaling or chalkboard lettering, doodling quotes and things like that. A lot of you have heard about Carrie Denker of Stone Soup for Five's Journal and Doodle Bible Studies, and lots of people ask me questions when I share my lettering on Instagram about how I learned lettering and how you can improve your own hand lettering. And so for October, I'm going to be bringing you through 31 days of improving and learning to love your lettering. And so I've been brainstorming what topics I'll cover. And so those of you that are on here are going to kind of get a sneak peek of what's coming in October. And I'm looking for help in filling my blanks. Thank you so much for inviting followers. I truly appreciate that. Taylor. Oh, thanks, girls. So I'm going to flip the camera and I'll show you my scribbles of what I've got intended so far. And if while I'm going through the list, you're thinking of specific questions that you have about lettering that I've not covered, put it in the comments, because that will help me round out the schedule a little more, and also to make sure that I'm covering the things that you guys want to hear, because I've been doing lettering for years and years, so I don't have as many questions. I'm all about practicing and kind of refining my style. But for those that don't do lettering, I want to be sure that I'm answering your questions and giving the tips that you're looking forward to finding out. So I'm going to flip you around and we'll get a little sneak peek of what's to come in October. Hi, Halos. And please, I'm terrible about first names, so you have to remind me. I'm glad to see you here. I know it's been Safana, sorry. It's been a while. I've not been broadcasting as regularly because I find that the updates really kind of throw a glitch into the broadcasting. So here's what I've got so far. So October 1st, we'll be putting together the notebook and an affirmation page. And so for those of you that might have caught it yesterday, I was putting together my notebook for the series, and what I did was washi tape together 2 sheets to create the page so that when writing through it, it won't bleed through. So you've gotten your little sneak peek at that. So putting together the book and then making an affirmation page, because lots of people are apprehensive about lettering. They think that they're not creative or they're afraid to mess it up. So the first assignment is going to be putting together a page that gives you permission to practice and lets you go of the fear of failing, so hopefully. And then, so on the 2nd, we will be identifying our natural hand, so how you write normally. So you can see this is, my scratch paper, and it's not perfectly beautiful. It's just, I'm left-handed too. So that's of course the caveat for the whole series, is that I'm a left-handed letterer. So my tips of course will be best for left-handed people, but I think that we can kind of talk through some of these things to help both lefties and righties with their lettering. So we'll be identifying the natural hand and then visiting the basic letter forms, because these are the types of things that you need to improve your handwriting. And so then from there we're going to jump into refining your handwriting. So we'll look at the test runs that we made on the 2nd, and we'll talk about the ascenders, the descenders, your majuscules, your minuscules, and so practicing penmanship. I don't know if anybody, you love it? Thank you, Vintage Bookworm. I'm not certain of your first name. So getting into creative lettering also means refining your handwriting, and so going back to penmanship. And so then this has gotten a little messy because I realized I marked the Monica, it's good to meet you. And so then I've switched, I had ideas come, but then I was trying to switch around their order. So then from refining your handwriting, we're going to do altering your writing, big, small, slanting, bubbly, that type of thing. And then we're also going to have adding whimsy, and then faux calligraphy. And then these will probably switch because I was trying to make it so that the weekends can be used as catch-up and inspiration. So each weekend I'm going to have an assignment to find some inspiration either on the internet, in a magazine, or on Pinterest, and then to letter a quote. So each weekend will be the same assignment. It's good to have you here. But before that, because I realized that the 8th and 9th is not a weekend, the 10th and 11th is, so that needs to be switched. But I'm going to talk about adding color to the whimsical letters, and then I've got a blank here. And so what I was trying to do was break it up into weeks. My thought was this first week we're going to be working just in pencil or fine liner, just a regular fine pen. You can even use ballpoint for the types of things that we're going to be doing that first week. And then the second week, we're going to jump into a calligraphy pen. And for the sake of these lessons, I'll be using a calligraphy marker. So on Monday the 12th, it's going to be through my blog, and then I am going to be periscoping probably a number of them, just so that people can see me actually doing the lettering. That way, if there are specific questions that are not addressed through photo tutorial, that we can hammer those out in the live broadcast. So starting the week of the 12th, we'll use a calligraphy nib/marker, and we'll talk about basic lettering forms for holding the calligraphy pen the right way. And then using a calligraphy to form your print, and then going into italic, mixing calligraphy and fine liner pens. This is 31 days. The right 31 days is a challenge for bloggers to blog every day of October, and so I'm using it as a chance to get into learning to love your hand lettering, or improving on your handwriting or your lettering. So I'm still hammering out. This is the first time I've ever attempted something that, to me, this seems very big. This is quite a challenge for me. So we'll use a calligraphy pen with using our print, and then go into italic, mixing calligraphy and fine liner, and then adding flourishes. And of course, that weekend, we'll do finding inspiration and lettering a quote using that. Okay, so then the following week, we've got brush pen basics, because brush pens are by far, like, I would think, are the current craze with modern calligraphy and things like that. So the week of the 19th, we'll be doing all about brush lettering. We're going back to the pencil to learn pressure, because brush lettering is all about pressure. So we'll use a brush pen with regular writing, and then jump into modern calligraphy, and then I've got flourishes, but I've got a blank there, because I was trying to figure out, I think I'm missing something in forming the brush lettering. And then, of course, that coming weekend, we'll do finding inspiration and lettering a quote. And then the final week, I'm going to do color, using a watercolor brush, lettering with resist, and then I've got some blanks. And I know that I've got the 31st will be You Rocked It, because it'll be the final day, so that'll be a day of celebration. But I'm thinking I need to put other things with alternative uses for lettering, and so that's where I'm asking for your input. I've shared with you lots of what I'm thinking, but now I need to know what is missing. So if you are a curious letterer, or wanting to get into hand lettering, or just getting better at penmanship, I want to know what you want to know. What would you like to ask of a letterer? If you're a lefty, is there a specific point that gets you stuck? If you're right-handed, what is hi, Mr. Incredible. I want to know what you want to learn about hand lettering, and that way we can fill in this schedule and have a full smudging. Yeah, I'm right there with you, and my newest secret weapon against the smudging is an eraser, and it's not just a regular eraser, it's a sand eraser from Tombow. So this little puppy right here erases ink, because it has to be used on good paper. It has sand in it, and it kind of takes away those let's see, I think I already cleaned this one up. Let's see. Will you focus? But you can, it can take away those rogue spots. Can I do something on layout and combining different styles? Yes, I can. And that will be in that final week, because I think that that's going to be pulling it all together. So awesome suggestion. And because that also ties into flourishes, because your thoughts on flourishing have to kind of take into, that was great suggestion, chaotic blessing. Combining the different styles and stuff and adding flourishes really takes consideration of each of the letter forms. So that will certainly be in that last week, as we've built up the confidence from the previous weeks. We'll call that pulling it all together. And that'll probably be like the last assignment, is putting a quote together with all the mixed techniques. Any other questions or suggestions? Because you guys are awesome. You have great ideas. And I certainly appreciate it, because I can only just be so creative on topics. I was trying to think, like, I don't want it to be an expensive month. So I was trying to keep the pens rather simple, like one good fine liner, maybe a couple different sizes, and the brush pens that I'll recommend are actually fairly inexpensive. And that list will go out prior to October. And how about lettering in small spaces? Yeah, I think that has a lot to do with the pen size too. Like I letter in the margins of my journaling Bible, and it's about 2 1/4, 2.5 inches, but that's still a relatively small space sometimes when you have a lot to write. So I definitely like to play with that. And let's see, I do a lot of lettering in my in notebooks in my traveler's journal. Do I have any tips for the 31 days challenge? It's your first time. Like I said, the previous years that I've done it, I have not made it all 31 days. I've been a little scattered. So this year is the first year that I've gotten this much written out and planned ahead of time. And I think it really depends on what your topic is. When I did the 31 days for Capture Your Grief, since it was photo based, I did well with that, because it was a photo assignment. The topic was given for the day, and you just had to do a photo for it. And of course, I blogged extra words explaining my photos, but that was, previously that was the series that I had gotten the most done. And there's images that I still have not edited that would have completely finished that challenge. But yeah, 31 days, I think it's just about getting into the habit of writing, which is something I am in sore need of, because too much my writing is feast or famine. I have lots of ideas and tons of things in my draft board, but not too many get published. Like, I'm terrible with my recipes, since I don't always write them down, but I do take pictures of all the steps. I've got folders and folders of food in process photos that just need to be written up in recipes. My Instagram is also at CreativLEI. I'm CreativLEI almost everywhere, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, all those normal places. And if you are into fiber arts, knitting, spinning, crochet, I am Lee Marie on Ravelry, which is fun. Ravelry was my very first social networking. So it always has a special place in my heart, even though I don't go there very often. And so unless you have other questions for me, this will be like the 2-minute warning, so that way everybody can get back to what they need to. And I will get back to this list and working it out. And I need to get the resource page done so that can go out this week. I know my newsletter goes out this evening, and I don't have the post ready, so I need to get that done. So I want to thank you all for tuning in and for giving. I can't wait. I'm getting really excited, because there's been lots of excitement as I started to share this idea. I've had lots of good feedback from people that are wanting to join. So even if you don't do every challenge, it'll be fun. And I'm going to work through it too with you. And so we'll hop on here on Periscope. That way, if there's a technique or a style that's really sticking you, then we'll get that hammered out, because sometimes it just takes being able to see it visually. And of course, I can't always do it right-handed, because my right-handed lettering does not look good, unless we're on the chalkboard. I can do it decently on the chalkboard, but in small, no, not at all. I am definitely a lefty letterer. So that's all I have for you this afternoon. If you think of something else that you would like to see covered for hand lettering, you can send me a message on Twitter. Could we get feedback from your challenge? Yes, absolutely. If you tag me on Instagram or post photos onto my Facebook page, which is also, it's Facebook/ let me pull it up. Yeah, but absolutely, if you tag me so that I can see it, I would totally give feedback. And for those of you that are, if anyone is attending the 2-to-1 conference in the middle of October, we might be able to do some live lettering one of those evenings. You hopped on, hope you'd see how to get lettering onto the computer. That is my most, let's see, that has been a challenge for me because I'm definitely, yes, facebook.com/CreativLEI is my blog Facebook page. And so if you share any of your pictures on there, or even send them as a message if you don't want to put it on the wall, that's okay. I will certainly give feedback or talk you through whatever is not, whatever is getting tricky. Sorry, reclaiming my thought. So I will be at the Titus 2-1 conference in the Outer Banks in the middle of August. And I'm not August, October. Goodness gracious, it's Friday. So I am looking forward to seeing some ladies live and working on some lettering there. As for getting lettering onto the computer, my recent coloring pages was my first attempt at really doing larger work for the computer. And what I did was I did them all by hand on pen. I did them, thank you, Lisa. I did all those pages on Bristol board with fine liners and marker pens. And then I scanned them in, and then I just checked the contrast to make sure that they were still black and white when I loaded them up to be a downloadable and printable. But I do have an iPad and use the Paper 53 app to do digital. I just have not gotten very proficient at that. That is my goal over the coming year in 2016, to get more proficient at doing lettering digitally. You want popcorn? Sorry. Oh, a 2-year-old squirrel. So yeah, getting more things done onto the computer is okay. Well, we're gonna go make popcorn. So if you've got lettering questions that you want to see answered in October, would you please send me a message? Tag me on Instagram, on Twitter, and we will try to get all those things covered in October, where we're going to learn how to love your lettering. And I can't wait to join with you guys on that. Thank you, and I hope you guys have a great weekend. I don't know if I'll be back on the weekend. I typically do not broadcast on the weekends. So, but we'll see. I'm trying to get these things done, so maybe I'll hop back on. So I hope you guys have a great weekend. Thank you. Yeah, she's got eyes. She knows how to ask for things. And the rest of our 3 public schoolers are on their way home, so I'm going to go make popcorn. Have a great weekend. Thanks so much.